What's up? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this beautifully honest reaction.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how rewind, when we rewind, feel so.
What is up, guys? So listen, I want to go ahead and get into it because I haven't had a chance to watch the podcast with Claudia having Funky Dineva on her platform. We know that he had a little situation down at Essence Fest and decided to, what they say, extend an olive branch. But I wanted to give my reaction to it, share my thoughts on it, and watch it along with you guys because I have not watched it yet. I've had people inboxing, DMing, and just letting me know about it, and I just really haven't had a chance to do it. And you guys know I like to try my best to keep it as brief as possible. I believe the interview is about an hour long. So I want to go ahead and get into it. But before I do, I just want to share a little clip of him, extending the so-called olive branch with her again. So I'm going to share my screen and then we're going to get into it. And then we're going to get into the interview on Claudia's podcast. Okay. So here we have it.
Clips from TGIF, like where is the leg popped up, and go on to the next thing, Claudia popped up, and I was like, fuck, like we had lightning in the fucking
Oh my God.
I thought about it. I said, I ain't really got no issue with that lady. Like I don't like. Yeah, there were certain things I didn't like, and I'm sure she can say the same thing about me. I was like, but bitch, Claudia was a good motherfucking time. Claudia was a good time. I want to work with you again.
So I want to pause it right there. And I'm not even going to play any more of it because there's really no need to. And I'm going to go into the interview. But you heard what he said. He said she was a good MF in time. They had lightning in a bottle. I ain't really had no problem with that lady. I had my issues and I'm sure she had her issues, but I want to work with you again. That's not an apology, guys. So there was no apology extended. The olive branch is just pretty much saying, and this is one of the things that I don't like because this happened to me in my lifetime before, many years ago, with someone that was much older than me. And it was like a family situation. And this person did some devious things to me and and my son. Just, it was some family stuff, not to go into all of the details, but the person did some devious things. And then because we were in a position where we was able to help this person out, and it was just from the kindness of our heart, they were like, oh, all that stuff that happened back in the day, that's just water under the bridge. They never extended an apology. I never asked for one. My mom never asked for one, but the person never extended an apology. It was just like, let's just let bygones be bygones. And it's like, no, bitch, you did some dirty, devious things. Where is the apology? Again, like I said, I didn't ask for it, but it was never given. But it was no humility to say, you know what? I did some dirty, messed up stuff. And you know what? I was wrong. I want to apologize and I want to ask for your forgiveness. Will you forgive me? Because honestly, forgiveness, no one has to forgive anyone. And it's good to forgive, even if someone doesn't ask for it, but it's not owed to anyone, especially when they did not request it. Even God is like, you have to repent. He's not just giving out blanketed forgiveness. It's like, repent, turn from your ways, realize you were wrong, turn from them, and then I will forgive you. Not just, oh, I forgive you. You don't even have to ask for forgiveness. So if God is even like, you need to ask for forgiveness before you can be forgiven, then who are we and who is he to just be like, you know what, that's the past. Let's just let bygones be bygones. And now let's work together again. No. But I just wanted to play that real quick before we go into the actual podcast, because people are saying, oh, you know what? He apologized. Let's just move forward. I really don't know how Claudia feels about it. We'll see if she shares her thoughts about how she feels in this podcast. But he didn't even say, I'm sorry. He didn't say, I apologize for this. I recognize that I did this, and that was wrong. He was just like, she was a good time. And you know what? Yeah, I had my issues. She had hers, but we had a good thing going. So let's just do it again. That's not an apology. It's not. So I know some people are trying to conflate it. And even he, I believe, is allowing people to spin the narrative that he apologizes because saying he extended an olive branch. No, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this interview. All right. So you can see my screen here. I'm going to go ahead and get started.
Um, let's be honest, because you had a trip to Essence Fest. Of course, you are promoting your movie. Give us the deets really quickly on that again.
It's a sci-fi movie. It comes out in theaters. Like, it's a national release in all these theaters. I know people. I know. I've done a lot of Tubi movies. Not mad at Tubi though, but this is a national release of a film. It's called Run, science fiction, and I can't wait for you to see it.
And it premieres August.
August. Oh, I didn't say it. I have not slept release from Essence. So
I know.
August 29th in theaters everywhere. And there will be a premiere, I think, in LA, New York, and probably Atlanta. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I'm excited to support you. We are proud of you. But the story that people were talking about this particular weekend was that there was a reunion of sorts with one of your former co-hosts, Funky Dineva from TGIF. And this story got a lot of traction in headlines because, myself included, I was a fan of TGIF, and, I followed the story. And when the fallout happened, a lot of us had questions. So for you guys to get together in this way, and we're all talking about it, we thought that we would have Funky Dineva on with us today. So accidentally informers, please welcome Funky Dineva.
There I go.
I'm like,
I'm like, here with this Fox Soul shit again. It's just not even working. It's a raggedy. No, I'm joking. Erica, thank you so much for having me. What's going on, Claudia, girl?
What's up, Funky? How you feeling from?
Listen, I just did me a little piece of edible. I'm over here eating cotton candy. I got my vodka and cranberry, just like old time safe.
Look, I'm back at work.
That part.
All right. Well, good to see you, and thank you for accepting the.
This is not even any shade, guys, but I'm just really being honest. If you take the wigs off of Dr. Heavenly, the lashes and the makeup, and you put a beard on Heavenly's face, Dr. Heavenly and Q actually look alike. Guys, I am not trying to be shady. I'm being real, because as I'm sitting here looking at him and him speaking, and the fakeness, this is just my personal opinion. This is my opinion, guys. Because I feel like Dr. Heavenly is real fake, especially when it comes to her being nice to people when she's speaking with them. This is giving Dr. Heavenly. And then as I'm sitting there listening to him speaking, I was like, he actually is starting to look like Dr. Heavenly. You know how they say sometimes when you hang around somebody so much, you start to look like them, you start to resemble them. And I just feel that way. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. It could be a far stretch, but I'm just saying that's what it looks like to me.
Thank you for coming to the party.
Yeah, listen, first of all, when my text messages go to my laptop, and I don't have all the numbers saved in my laptop. So I saw this number that I ain't talked to in a very long time pop up saying, "Are you gonna be in Essence?" Then I go to my phone, I see it's you. I'm like, what? I'm like, am I being like, is this for real?
So when did you receive this text message?
Was it Friday? It was Friday, right?
Friday.
Was it Friday?
It was Friday.
Thursday?
It was Friday. It was the day before. It was Friday.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Friday.
I left that day.
It was funny because you said I was packed. I said, hey, are you coming to Essence? And you said, I'm packing now. I fly out later tonight.
Yeah. And then he was like, come to my party. And I was like, okay, sure. And then
let me get in my national talk show host bag. I have some questions. Thank you.
Okay.
So this olive branch we all saw unfold. So you're saying on Friday, is when you reached out to Claudia, and then we saw the flyer go out on Instagram. I immediately hearted it with like the flames and everything, because I don't know if you know this, Funky, but I'm constantly like, hey, you know, what happened? Can we get some mea culpa? Can we, like, you know, I'm curious. I'm also, you know, perusing some information. So Funky, when did you make the decision that you were going to reach out to Claudia, and why now?
2 seconds before I texted her. And like I said at the party, when Claudia walked into the room, days leading up to Essence, old clips of TGIF were coming in my feed somehow. And believe it or not, since I departed the show, whether I curated it on purpose or not, that stuff doesn't pop up in my feed. And so, like, some of our best moments popped up in my feed. Like, where is the...
I don't believe him. And here's why. And listen, it could be possible. I'm just saying, well, what I don't believe, because he starts to say, you know, when I left, nothing about TGIF was popping up in my feed. And he says, whether I curated it or not, he definitely curated it. He did not want those things to be showing up in his feed. So for those reasons, I don't believe that old episodes of TGIF started popping up in his feed, because I do believe that he actually did purposely curate not having those things show up in his feed, period. So that's why I'm saying I don't believe him. I believe he purposely either watched some old episodes, or he's just lying altogether to say these old episodes started popping up in his feed, and he watched some of the old episodes and started feeling nostalgic and said, you know what? It's been a while. Let's let bygones be bygones. I'm gonna see if I can reach out to her and see if she responds, and test the temperature and see what's going on, because I'm gonna be down at Essence Fest and she's gonna be down there, maybe. So I don't believe him. That's just me.
Leg and like some of the other famous moments. And I just stopped for a moment and I was like, damn, like we used to have fun, and you spend that 30-second, 50-second moment just closing your eyes, just reveling in the fun of it all. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of softened my heart to the situation. And then knowing who Claudia is and what she does for a living and how popular she is, like, it's not far-fetched that she would be at Essence. And I was like, shit, the show is over at this point. Ain't no need for nobody to be mad at no damn body, because the shit's gone. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not one of those people that harboring bitterness, harboring anger makes you look old. You know what I'm saying? I think...
Listen, don't sit and talk about looks. But here's the other thing that, listen, this obviously doesn't involve me or any of us for that matter. It didn't hurt my pockets. Wasn't affiliated with it whatsoever. But I do believe that he contributed to, not saying he caused it completely, but I do believe he contributed to the demise of the show overall, because I talked before, so this is nothing new. I'm not trying to stir the pot or cause there to be any more contention or reason for Claudia to feel like, you know what, I am happy to forgive if forgiveness is sought of me, but I'm not going to pursue a working relationship with this person ever again because of the things that people are putting out here. I said this before. I said that I believe that he was being messy when Al Reynolds called him, because when Al Reynolds called him to complain about Claudia and Armand Wiggins after they did the birthday roast, Funky Dineva was live at the time, okay? Funky Dineva could have put the either put the live on mute or just not answer the call to Al and just send him a text message and say, hey, my dude, I'm still live, or I'm live right now. You may not know it. I'll message you when I'm done, and then we can call each other then. He chose to allow that phone call to be live on his platform, on Funky Dineva's platform. So him saying, Al, I'm live right now. He was being messy. He loved to see what was going on, where things were not working out with Armand and Al, and there was contention, and Al wasn't happy, even though Al was supposed to be his friend. So with all of that being said, if he still had contention in his heart for Claudia and didn't mind hurting her and didn't give a damn about Armand, because it's like, well, shoot, that nigga ain't my friend. I don't really care either way what happens with him, but Al is my friend. He ultimately was a contributing factor in the demise of that show, which ultimately hurt all of those people's pockets. All right. So I'm sorry. I'm just not sitting here buying that where, what he's talking about right now. Because I said that before. I feel like he was the one that helped to put a nail in the coffin of TGIF. So for him to say, it's been a while and the show canceled at this point in time. Well, I believe, contributed to that happening. Not saying he was the ultimate cost of everything, disintegrating, but I believe that he contributed.
Anger, and I think bitterness. I think it's a waste of an emotion. And so I was like, shit, I'm feeling good. The clips got me feeling soft. I reached out to Claudia and said, hey girl, are you coming to S? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, you should stop by the party. And she was like, okay. And I was like, you know what? Like, we'll really mess up the ending if I put you on the flyer. She was like, go ahead. And
what's funny? You don't know this, but before you text me that, I had drafted a message saying we should really fuck him up and announce it. And then I deleted it. I go, no, he might think I'm being thirsty, trying to clout face. I was in my head, so I deleted it.
And then I sent it.
And I was like, fuck yeah, let's run it up. So,
And it worked. And what people witnessed was just, it was an organic moment. She walked through the door and I had the DJ stop and I didn't think about anything. I just said what I was feeling in the moment and what I had been feeling for the last couple of days.
It felt.
And what he was feeling was not apologizing, just saying, let's go on to the next thing, Claudia. Let's just move forward.
Like I was getting proposed to from a boyfriend I ain't talked to in a long time. I couldn't act a fool because there was too many people in the room. And I was like, but then you're like, but it's nice, but it's still nice. You know what I'm saying? Like it was, I did see some people say, oh, they planned this. I'm like, no, there was no planning of this. And it was very organic. It was very in the moment. And I think you can tell from the reaction of the people that were there and from our faces. Like we were like, oh, okay. So yeah, it was nice.
I want to actually kind of unpack this too, because obviously, I mentioned that I did a national talk show as well, because I'm familiar with ensembles. And I think for the average viewer, the average viewer doesn't necessarily understand the chemistry, the dynamics, the complexity of being a part of an ensemble cast. And sometimes there's fallout, and clearly there was fallout between the two of you. So anytime, obviously most people are I won't even say most, I won't quantify it, but a lot of people are super excited and happy about this moment. But a lot of people, because they personally relate to you as a person and a personality, have feelings about what happened and how we are today. So I know that this is all love and everything's positive. I just want to go over a couple of comments that came through to give you guys an opportunity to respond. So
I love this lady. Erica Cobb is her name. Yeah, let's be real and honest about it. Not all the fluffy, lovey-dovey, ribbon in the sky, doves, flying through the air. And Claudia's like, and you can see his face right here, like, oh, here we go. Because that's the thing, guys. He just wants to gloss over it, but you cannot put icing over a pile of dog, S-H-I-T, and expect people to eat it. It's disgusting. And what he did, in my personal opinion, is put icing over dog, S-H-I-T. I ain't eating it. I'm sorry. No, I'm not buying it. And a lot of people are not. That's why a lot of people are just like, don't do it, Claudia. Or they're just like, Miss Sophia in The Color Purple. Don't do it. He ain't worth it. He ain't worth it, Miss Claudia. He ain't worth it.
Claudia, I'll start with you.
Okay.
Love me some Funky Dineva, but where was he wrong? Claudia should be apologizing. Didn't she betray him?
Don't answer that.
Well, in the comments I said,
why not? He says, don't answer that. It should be answered because he was the one that put that narrative out there. And it has his followers feeling like Claudia betrayed him. Claudia did something terrible to him. He is the one that was betrayed. She was the one that did the betrayal. She should be apologizing. And so for him to say, don't answer that. No, maybe you should be answering that to say, no, actually, guys, she really didn't do anything wrong. I was just in my feelings. I got hurt about some things in the background, and also the fact that Flame Monroe came on as a guest for a week or two on TGIF, even though I was not a part of the show anymore. And I felt hurt by it. And I was in my feelings.
Yeah, but I like, Erica, in all, I mean, we can go through them. I just don't think getting into the weeds of it all makes any sense at this point. What happened. People are going to feel what they feel. Claudia has her vantage point of what happened. I have my vantage point of what happened. Al has his vantage point of what happened, and it ain't changing.
Wow. And it ain't changing. See, and that's what I was saying to you guys before about the apology. He's not going to apologize. He did not apologize. He just wants to move forward and work together again. And for his benefit. Trust and believe. If it had anything to do with them working together again and it was not going to be beneficial for him, do you even believe that he would be giving her the time of day?
You know what I'm saying? All we can do is bury that. You know what I'm saying? And just choose to start anew. But I don't think getting into the minutia of audience comments and what folks got to say, I don't think that's the smartest thing to do at this time, in all honesty.
And no, and I completely respect that. I just want to be very clear.
She said I respect it, but I didn't hear her say I agree. And I'm glad. We'll continue to hear what she has to say.
Claudia has not seen any of these questions because honestly, the reason why I'm asking these questions is because I think if you speak to anyone who's been a part of an ensemble, especially after years of being together, people don't really understand that, like, it's not, I would always say about my co-hosts, like, I will love them forever, but there are times I just do not like them and they don't like me. And that's just what it is, because it's almost like this, it's a family dynamic. Sometimes you have your family together and you're kicking it once a year on the lakefront. Sometimes you have family members who just can never make it to the lake, going back to, you know, what we were talking about earlier. So I just find it interesting because I'm not trying to like stir things up. What I'm trying to do is resonate with the audience that just feels like maybe this is indicative of something that they've experienced in their lives. And this is something that they're working through as well. And I think that there were a lot of reasons why this became a viral moment. And one of those was the study of human behavior. How do two people who had a public falling out get to this point? And that's the only reason why
I get it
to bring that up.
I get it.
Yeah, and Erica's very thoughtful about these types of things and likes to do the deeper dive. Her podcast about the comeback and coming back from things. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
Did you know my thing called it spawns 9 million other YouTube videos. You know what I'm saying? It spawns.
So what? Let the spawning continue, because we have the right to share our opinions about things. And I told you guys before, I analyze and I react. I am A&R, okay? I'm not a content creator. And a lot of times it's easier for me to create content about the things that I want to talk about versus getting in everyone's comment sections that create content to share my thoughts and views. It's just easier for me to make a video and analyze and react versus just going in the comment section, even though I do comment. I don't care if people keep making content about it. Let them do it. But the thing is, he doesn't really want anybody talking about him. And I said this before too, in a video that I did sometime last year when I was talking about TGIF and Funky Dineva and the Carlos King interview. And something that he had said before, he actually said it multiple times. He said he did not, this is before the Tasha K fallout with him, right? He was on TGIF and they were, you know, it would be like a trending story about Tasha K, maybe something about the lawsuit with Cardi B and whatever. And before he did what he did, which he pretty much lied and said some things that were not true about Tasha K when it came to her finances that pissed her off, but she wasn't on the get back. She was just like, he is a liar. But at any rate, he was like, oh, I don't believe in talking about other YouTube content creators. The reason he did that, it was a manipulative tactic. It wasn't about respect. It really was about, hey, if I put this out there, then maybe it will prevent YouTube content creators from making videos about me, because I really don't want to be content. I just want to talk about what's trending. I don't want to be the topic that is trending that people are making content about. You guys can feel free to disagree if you want, but him saying this is all about him. This isn't about Claudia. It's knowing that he was wrong for the most part, and he doesn't want people continuously making content about him and his actions in this situation. Because let's be clear, if he did not, like he said, unload the clip and say he had more in the chamber for her, he was the one that put it out there blasting Claudia. Claudia never came out and blasted him about how he left the show, or, you know what, by the way, guys, he didn't leave the show. He actually got fired. I'm just saying, she never came out to blast him. And when she finally did say some things in response, it wasn't immediate. It wasn't even immediate. So he was the one that was doing all of this. So it's like still not taking accountability. And that is something that I cannot stand. That, let's just let bygones be bygones. That's all water under the bridge. That's the past. No, Ninja, you never apologize. And you actually still feel justified.
Team wars, like how do you answer that? Doesn't Claudia owe Funky Dineva an apology too? And then you don't say what they want you to say, and then it creates 400 think pieces. And then, in moments of weakness, we start reading that stuff and start believing that stuff, and we're back where we left. And for me, I don't want to go back, but.
And he doesn't want her to go there. He doesn't want her to think. He wants her to get caught up in the emotions of the moment. They get caught up in the rapture of the olive branch that he says he extended at Essence Fest, and not really sitting there to think and analyze, to say, hold up, wait a minute. This nigga never really apologized. It was just, we had magic in the bottle back then, and let's do it again. Let's again and again and again. Not, I apologize over and over again. It should have just been an apology and leaving it at that. And so he made some missteps. I'm not even saying that he does not have any remorse. I could be wrong. He may not have any remorse, but I'm not saying that he actually doesn't. In terms of how he has operated, it doesn't come across that way, that he has any remorse, and he feels justified in his actions. And it's just like, well, I just want to reflect on the good times. So let's just let all that, stuff be buried and let's move forward. No.
I hear what you're saying. I think with us moving forward, I think would be good probably for us is a conversation about anything that you had, I had, without an audience.
Most definitely.
I think, because I do think that there is no way to truly move on from things. Just, we're good, because things will just come right back, right? The first time something goes left, bitch, I knew you was like that, or I knew you, they told me you burned me again.
Exactly.
And I do believe in having like I remember doing some reality shows with some people where I said, turn the cameras off because I want a real conversation with this person, because I actually am trying to get through it. I'm not trying to have a moment. I'm not trying to have a viral moment. So I do feel like I would love to come down to Florida, or if you ever come to Dallas, and have a real conversation where we work our, no matter what happens, if we work together or not, we showed on that video,
let it be or not,
that there was still some love there for each other. And I feel like it kind of healed a little part of both of our hearts that day. I don't know. I
agree. I mean,
it was like, okay, one less person
it doesn't like me or put negative energy. I completely feel the same way. And I just think it's just one of those things that's, what's done is done, and what's going to be is what's going to be. For me, again, being bitter, being mad, being angry, I think it's just wasted emotion. I think enough time had gone past. And listen, outside of work, we were a good time. Like when you guys came down to Miami, we were a good time. We used to have good times. And like I said at the thing, we had lightning in a goddamn bottle. We really did. And there was no reason, well, there was a lot of reasons why TGIF didn't go to the top, but there was no reason that show couldn't have gone to the top with what we had. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be the first person to say, I definitely miss the magic that we used to make, but I don't miss the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people were asking,
that goes without saying. All of us in our lives at some point in time, whether it was brief or it lasted a long time, all of us have had moments in our life where things were great. Nobody wants to relive the bullshit. So what that goes without saying. It's like, really?
Do you regret leaving? I absolutely do not regret leaving. I will never regret choosing me over what was a toxic environment. I can miss the magic we had and still hold disdain for the bullshit that was the whole show. You know what I'm saying? So for those who are wondering, no, I don't regret leaving. Leaving was the right thing for me to do in that moment. At that point, it wasn't about the show. It wasn't about Al. It wasn't about Claudia. It was about, I didn't like coming to work being stressed out, and I didn't need the money.
I know you said that you left over the 250 and then
I was part of it as well.
Yeah. What was the bigger deal for you?
I don't know that one was a bigger deal. I think, well, I do know what the bigger deal was. The bigger deal was the everyday bullshit. The bigger deal was every day coming to work, and it was a gripe from somebody or somewhere. And it was just like, God damn it, what is it today? You know what I'm saying? And so
I have a different memory, because when we left, when it ended, it was like January, right? When you left. But right before that, November, remember we went to Houston and we were all having fun together. And after Houston, I felt like we weren't beefing, none of us, right? We were kind of like clowning Joyce in her little 20-ass shoes. She had fun, and we was having a good time. We went to the club in Houston, everything. Within a month and a half, your contract stuff came up. So it was like the timing of that. So really, we weren't beefing at the time when you left.
No, you and I weren't beefing. You and I didn't.
See, and I'm going to pause it right there for a moment, guys. And I don't know if you caught that, take this for what it's worth. And everybody's entitled to their opinion. And of course, most people like Funky Dineva, they're going to put things out there the way that they want people to perceive it. But I've said this before. I personally don't believe that he was fired, but I do believe that they chose not to renew his contract for a multitude of reasons. And I do believe one of those major reasons, which is something a lot of people do not discuss. Do you remember when he made some very unfavorable comments and did some unfavorable commentary about Chloe Bailey, who Halle and Chloe are signed to Beyonce's record label. So they're under that umbrella of Beyonce and Jay-Z. And I mean, people should have the right to express their opinions about people and, and not have fear of retribution because of what you say. But it's a political industry when it comes to entertainment. And he said some things that he ultimately had to come back and apologize for when he was on TGIF. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I really do believe, and I can't remember because it's been a while. I can't remember if he was suspended or if he had to take a few days off or if he immediately came back and apologized. And his apology was very nonchalant and it was like a non-apology apology. If you guys remember that, let me know in the comments. So honestly, and there was a lot of people that were saying they were boycotting, they were writing the executives, and even Claudia was commenting on it in people's chats because I do remember that. And I do believe that a lot of that was taken into consideration when it came time for his contract renewal. So him talking about it was always some drama and some BS every day. And Claudia's like, well, that's not really the way I remembered it. And I actually remember, contract renewals were up. It was time for negotiations. I really believe she's alluding to the fact that it's not really the way you're trying to portray that it was. But if that's the narrative that you want to share with your viewing audience and your followers, have at it. But I don't want people to believe that follow me to think that it was just always a bunch of negative drama every single day behind the scenes at TGIF. And we were just all acting like everything was, kosher when we were on the camera.
Develop whatever until I departed. That's when things got cloudy for me. But there was still a bunch of chaos going on. It was just chaos that in my mind was just unnecessary. So when you're coming to work and it's just always something, I'm equipped to deal with monumental problems. I'm not equipped to deal with small like mosquito like bullshit. And it was just always something from somewhere. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not calling on it. It was just always something. So I'm already sitting on pins and needles like, y'all know I don't like to work. Okay, I got to be here every day at 8 o'clock.
Pause. And that's what I was saying before, guys, because all the people that are like, Funky don't need that check. He already makes 5 figures a month, $50,000 a month or whatever. None of us are in our pockets. And I honestly don't care. But I clocked this about him a long time ago, and I've said this multiple times too, so I'm just going to make it brief when I say this. The man is lazy. The man is lazy. And the fact that what he has been doing for the most part on his own and not having the luxury of just having to clock in and clock out and have somebody else cut him a check for the work that he has provided for what they've hired him to do. It really is a privilege, especially for a job like that, which a lot of people would have KILLED'd somebody for, the opportunity to just work a few hours a week and allegedly make $250,000 a year, if that is the case. But I'm just saying, if that really was the case, and you're just showing up and then you're talking about, y'all know I don't like to work. That's it. That's exactly right. He really does not like to work. And because it was sort of like a get back thing, when he saw that they brought Flame Monroe onto the show, he decided to be vindictive and start going live. And not only going live at the same hour that they were going live. That was very vindictive. No, they couldn't stop him from doing it, obviously, because they didn't have him sign a non-compete agreement. And I expressed how that was a big, bad decision, not even a mistake. It was a bad decision, terrible decision on their part, that they didn't prevent him from doing that, because if they did have him sign a non-compete agreement, they could have sued him if he did that. because you're directly competing with your former employer. I don't know who thought to not do that. But anyway, I'm just saying, he said it out of his own mouth just now. Y'all already know I don't like to work. That's it, guys. He's looking for another opportunity where he can make a bag, but not have to do all of the work that he's currently having to put in for it now. So for those people who are like, he don't need them, he's already doing great on his own. Do you really believe that he feels like doing that? He loves to, like he said at the beginning of this, take edibles, drink his vodka and cranberry. You can't function operating like that every day when you're working. Like, seriously, if you want to operate really well and be professional, drinking liquor and taking edibles to, like, what? Anyway.
And then I was misled in my original contract negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
And when my contract came up and they did not make right on what they misled me into signing that 6-month contract for, I was just like, there's no reason for me to stay.
Which I knew nothing about.
No, you guys didn't know about my contract.
Yeah,
you guys didn't know about my contract.
We're all separate with us.
Yeah, we were all separate.
Did you know that at the time, though? Because I'm just curious, when you said that you were misled, is that a situation where, as time went on after the show was over, you learned new information that potentially changed your mind about how things went down or who might have been to blame?
No, there was no new information. I exited with the same level of clarity that I have today. The short of it is, I was convinced to sign a 6-month contract, and I was told that what I was asking for during that contract renewal will be addressed at the end of that 6 months, because I was going to walk then. And I don't want people to think that, you know, oh, I'm being selfish, or I thought that I was bigger than the show. But the reality of the situation is, I did not need Fox Soul to sit on YouTube. I had been on YouTube for, at this point, 14 years. And so I'm sitting in a space, essentially what I was helping create over at Fox Soul, I could have just continued to do for myself like I had been doing for over a decade.
And that's the thing. And I said that before. He could have been doing that for years, but he really was not consistent, guys. He was not showing up every day. There were plenty of times where he talked about how he was getting tired of talking about the reality shows and the housewives, and he wanted to do something different and this and that and the other. So with him doing what he had been doing since the time he left TGIF, it honestly had been off of the fuel of get back, off of the fuel of revenge, not off of the fuel of, I'm going to build something great for myself. That's not what it was about, guys, because he's had other opportunities that he has had over the years that he could have built off of, because unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever, it had been opportunities that he's had where either bridges were burnt or he did the wrong thing or something like that. I heard different stories, so I don't know all of the tea to be true or not, but I heard he was fired from Sister Circle. That was something from many years ago. He had the fallout with Michelle A.T.L.E.N. Brown, who really helped him to get to where he is. She is the one that helped him to begin blogging, and he was doing YouTube. And, you know, some people say, oh, well, student surpassed teacher. That's ultimately what most teachers would want, right? They want to see their pupils succeed. So a professor who is teaching someone to become, I don't know, a doctor or an attorney, yeah, you would want your student to become Johnny Cochran or the, you know, Dr. Miami plastic surgeon. I'm just naming a few names of people that know who those people are that became really big and successful. All of those people had professors and teachers and whatever that none of us will ever know who they are, and they're not as successful or making as much money as those, you know, people did or have done or are doing. So that's not a flex. Actually, that I believe is a big congratulations to Michelle A.T.L.E.N. Brown. But that man was so cold and nasty and dirty to her, and all she did was expressing what this person did to her that she considered a friend. And that is a wound that still hasn't, you know, I guess 100% healed. And hey, it's her story to tell. And he is the main one that would be saying, you can't do wrong to an MFer and then tell them how to feel. But then pretty much tell him, Michelle A.T.L.E.N. Brown, you need to shut the F up. And if I come outside your house, you wouldn't be bold enough to come outside, pretty much implying if I see you, I'm gonna run up on you and I'm gonna show you what's up. And that's a woman. That's a woman saying, once he sees Tasha K, he gonna slap the shit out of her. I don't care anybody feels about that woman. That is a woman. Period. Okay. So all of the stuff that he's saying, it's just hard to listen to it without calling him out on stuff that is just like, no.
At that point. So it no longer began to make sense. And then the $250 thing, for me, it was just a respect thing. It was like, what job do you tell somebody, hey, Erica, you're part-time and we're going to pay you $10 an hour part-time. Guess what, Erica? We made you full-time, but we're going to cut you from $10 an hour to $8 an hour. That's not the way it works. You know what I'm saying? So why is it when we were 2 days a week, I was worth $10, but when we go to 5 days a week, now I'm worth $8. And then you say, oh, Q, don't worry. We got you. We're just waiting for the new ratings to come in and the new advertising dollars. And just sign a 6 month. And at the end of the 6 month, we're going to make it all right. So cool. That was the pretext by which I signed the 6 month contract. I had even forgotten that my contract was up. We went on break and legal department hit me in a frenzy. And they're like, your contract is up. Are you going to resign? So my agent and I are like, well, send us over the contract. And when they sent it over, it was the same exact contract that was extended to us at the beginning of the program. And for me, that's disrespect.
And maybe they didn't feel that he was worth it because, again, them not having him sign, they probably should have had him sign for the 6 months and had him sign a non-compete agreement and then got rid of his ass after that. Because honestly, they probably felt like he is a liability because he has said some very crude, disgusting things while he was on that show. And they probably did not want to risk it. But anyway, I'm just saying that is a thought. I'm not saying that's exactly what it was. So yeah, they probably didn't feel that he was worth that money because they felt like he was somewhat of a liability. Just a thought.
All right. Listen, I know what I contributed to TGIF. I know what I brought to Fox Soul. And after the 250, we said, fine, we get it. There's no money. Can you at least put him on the health insurance? And when that man said he wouldn't even put me on the health insurance, I'm a former accountant. A company that large, it would have cost them $79 every pay period to put me on the damn health insurance. And the fact that you said no, for me, I felt very disrespected and I felt like I wasn't valued. So I said, fuck it, y'all can have it.
Can I just jump in really quickly because I can understand your position, especially because you're like a godfather of YouTube, like Black YouTube. So I get that like you're also in a position to be like, well, I'm already very successful on this platform, but I'm going to also kind of turn this question a little bit because you seem like the beef was really with the network. And because Claudia was a part of the creative and
Oops, sorry guys, my phone was ringing. Life is lifing, but let's go ahead and continue.
Production, were you conflating her with the network? Because we did hear you say that the problem was Claudia. I have to ask that.
Absolutely not. And in the moment, post the show, when I did my video and I said, I don't have a problem with so-and-so, my problem is with that damn Claudia Jordan. I meant it when I said it because it was because of things that had transpired post me leaving or things that had gotten back to me and things that I had witnessed and been a part of while I was there. Again, and I'm sure Claudia can say the same about me, that, she had issues or problems or opinions. There's enough blame to go around. You know what I'm saying? And it was a cornucopia of things. It was not solely Claudia. It was not solely Al. And it was not solely the contract.
But and I like Erica's question because she says, you keep saying production and things with regards to your contract. Those things don't have anything to do with Claudia, but you said on your video that your problem was with Claudia. So like, what is the deal? And then he keeps saying, well, at the time, yeah, my problem was with Claudia, and I'm sure she could say the same thing about me, but stop speaking for her. Claudia, what were your issues? I would love to really hear what she thinks, and maybe she will later in this. I don't know because I haven't watched this yet, but I'm just saying I'm liking Erica being the mediator in the situation, the mediator interviewer.
If I'm being honest, it was the day-to-day bickering and crap that was going on in the background. That shit was getting on my nerves. Had they given me my $250, I would have sat through it. But it was like, to sit through that, I don't feel valued and I don't need this. I'm cool. I just rather have my peace and be at home by myself.
That's why I'm saying it doesn't really make sense. All of the stuff that he's saying Do you guys really believe this was just over a matter of $250? $250? Does it really make sense to someone who claims they were making $250,000 a year to work maybe 4 or 5 hours a week, maybe, where they're just talking about their thoughts about stories that they didn't even have to research and conjure up? And you're not even have to show up in person, you're virtual, you just have to click a button. They're supplying you with the microphone, and so you're going to blow up over a $250 thing. And you said if they had just given you your $250, then you would have stayed for the BS. I don't buy it.
I don't need it. And that was the blessing of it all. I did not need the job.
I'm taken aback. The part where you said that you're standing on saying it was me at that time, because when you left a really beautiful message for Al and myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I believed it, that I love y'all. We'll work together again. And we have some text messages where I said, we can even take this off of Fox Soul and we can avoid a lot of the drama. I think a lot of that was that. So I thought you were just saying that in anger. And I actually thought you weren't going to stand on that. I feel like there was a lot of manipulation that was going on. We don't got to get into that in front of everybody right now, that you weren't really getting the real exact story of everything.
No, get into it. Get into it. I mean, if you're going to do this, then get into it.
And I'll just leave it at that, because it went from love, I love you back, we're going to do this again, we're going to spin the block, to me being the villain in the story, where it was that damn Claudia Jordan. I'm like, wait, what? Because I was looking at my text thread with you where it was love outside of the cameras when it was just us. Mm-hmm. So that's when I said it to her thing. I was like, I was hurt, by that, because I'm like, wait, there was enough drama for us. We all have had some drama there, and we've all had our crash outs. We worked together for 3 years, 5 days a week. 3 years we did?
Yeah, that's about.
So, there's been times where I had to bite my tongue when you were acting unprofessionally. There was times where you had to bite your tongue when I was going off on Joyce. There was times we both bit our tongues when Al was crashing out and doing his thing. So, it was a family, as Erica said, but it was a dysfunctional one.
It was a dysfunctional family. It was.
The highs were really high.
They were.
And the lows, to me, weren't worse than the highs. The highs were great because we had more good days than bad.
You did.
I heard from your mouth that you do not like to work, and you made that very clear. I need to be at the bar on Friday night. I don't want to work 5 days a week, and we made it to 4. And I will say, with all that went down, not many people can say they had a show on linear television 5 days a week for 3 years, 4 seasons really. And what we did was a big deal. It was. And started during COVID when everybody else was losing their jobs. Yeah. We created one, we have one, and it flourished and it multiplied. And like we said at your event, Africa people, European people,
we had everybody
till this day. And that means a lot, But
we can't go without giving credit to Claudia, who was the brainchild behind bringing all of us together. You guys know how it started with us kicking it at Cynthia Bailey's wedding. The stories all over the internet. You guys can go back and rehash it. But you felt something, you saw something, you brought us all together, and it was magic. And it's the feeling that I miss. Mm-hmm. I miss the feel. Like I'm telling you, when I saw those clips and just me cracking the joke and like your natural expressions when I be going, and then Al over there laughing uncontrollable. It's like a drug. I miss that high.
Oh God, I cannot miss this moment. Okay. And you can take this as shade if you want to, but I'm not even trying to be shady. This is just a real thought. And it's based on what he said. We already know at the beginning of this, he said, I got my vodka and cranberry. I had my edible. And then he talks about, I miss the feeling. It was like a high. That's a problem when someone, listen, nobody loves to go through turmoil, trauma, bad times, hardships, stress, depression, none of that stuff, right? But unfortunately, it is a real part of life. And when it comes to having a job, it's a real portions at least. It shouldn't be like all stress, doom and gloom and depression, but it's a real part of jobs where you don't come in and everything is just amazing. You're going to have your bad days, even if it's not with the people you work with. It could be with, depending on the type of work you do, it could be with a client or a customer or somebody just on the outside coming in, making your day hard. Funky Dineva wants to always feel good, okay? And that's just not a part of life. It's not real. And it's dangerous. It's dangerous when that's how people, and like I said, this is not a shady moment. There is no pun intended. And I'm not even saying that he is on stuff, even though I know that has been insinuated. And I've heard the terms junkie Dineva and all the other stuff like that. But that is one of the reasons why some people get hooked on drugs. And alcohol, which alcohol is a drug depending on how you use it. Because you always want to feel good. That's dangerous. You can't always feel good. So the fact that what he is seeking, it's about, I miss those highs. I miss the good feelings. I miss the fun. It's not real. And those lows are always going to be there. It's just not a good idea for her to spin the block and do this thing again with him because he's dangerous. That really is a dangerous way to feel and look at it, especially as an adult, guys. I'm just saying. So I am not implying that he is on some stuff. I'm not saying that at all. I've heard people make those comments or whatever, but I'm basing what I am saying off of what he said and just basically letting that be known that what he's saying and what he is thinking is dangerous for him to try to get something back based off of those good old feelings. That's why people keep using drugs, because they keep chasing that first high because it felt so good, and it'll never be like that again. And then you just wind up becoming an addict.
I do miss that high. And I just wonder if there is a world, a universe where we get the high back without the bullshit.
That would be amazing. But I don't want you to leave this with feeling like it was some kind of, set up. Like that. I don't
feel that. You don't
I'm in my head like, oh shit. No.
I don't feel that way at all. And if it would have been, I would have windmilled the hell out of both of y'all.
I know. I was like, okay, but look, I do want to say, as the voice of the audience and as an outsider, both of y'all sat down and did very extensive interviews with Carlos King. Mm-hmm. And I learned so much about both of you. Mm-hmm. And I thought that it was an amazing opportunity to get something that we wouldn't have necessarily have gotten. Mm-hmm. And I want to tell anybody who hasn't seen that there's an understanding there. It's not that I know people are accusing me of being the mess. And I'm like,
let it be you for one time.
I know, I'm kind of excited to be the mess. I never get to be the mess.
Erica, you better know how to fight because it's a hard position to be in.
I'm like, that's okay. I'll be in the water. No. But I really want people to understand that, obviously things happen. I really want people to understand the dynamics and complexity of the both of you. I can't speak to what happened. I just think that was a really great opportunity to understand something that we wouldn't have gotten. And I wanted to throw that out there.
Indeed. Carlos is good at what he does. And listen, again, if you put everybody from TGIF in a separate room and let them do a confessional, everybody has their perspective and their vantage point of who was right and who was wrong. And everybody stands on how they feel. We all went through the same thing from different vantage points. And who's right and who's wrong? The answer is none of us are right and none of us are wrong. We're just human beings. We had an experience with a network and a show, and the experience was what it was. I think at this moment, it's just about what we can take from it, what we can learn from it, how we can grow from it, and hopefully how we can monetize the shit.
I want to read a couple comments. Well, this one right here. TTLL Shady says, I'm not crazy about either of them individually, but I love TGIF with them.
Okay. Hey, we'll take it where we can get it.
Oh my God. I want to say this. Hey, so seeing how, your text me started from you kind of going down memory lane with nostalgia. Let's talk before we let you go. Favorite moments. I have one that was really funny that I just saw on someone made a short. Do you remember the time where we were going to go, was it the Bahamas or something? And Al tried to big time us and say that the private jet, that there was too much of a tailwind. And he was like, you told me that you couldn't get your passport on time. I mean, you were kiki and he was turning bright red.
I don't remember that moment.
I want to send it to you. It's so funny because we would gang up on each other before it got kind of when it was not nasty.
Right.
There would be a playful gang up, and that's where the magic was. Some days it'd be me and you with the shits, talk clowning Al for his bullshit. Some days it'd be you and him against me and saying your shit against me. And sometimes we would get on your ass, brought your little nasty stories down to the bar. And that's when it was to me, that was the prime of Foxhole. And I will say, I keep bringing this up because I don't want you to leave thinking the end was really bad, because before it ended, we actually were in a good place. I remember Al was texting me around New Year's Eve, and that for us to be texting, that means we were cool. We had just come back from Houston. We had a great time in Houston. Me, you, and him were good. And then it went left, and then it got ugly with other people throwing stuff. But I remember even in Houston, we had a great time. Do you have the leg thing and the Christ, the Savior?
The Savior was born. When Queen Elizabeth's husband died, that was a good one.
That really was.
Wendy Williams on the lymphedema machine. That was a good one. We had a lot of good moments.
We had a lot of really funny ones. I love that the internet puts together kind of shorts and all that. But I know this ran a little bit long. I know you probably got plans tonight. Now I seen you in your situation. Now you're very happy.
Thank you.
I know it's hard to reach out to someone you haven't spoken to in a long time, and a lot of people don't do that. So I want to give you your props for doing that. I do appreciate it. No matter where this goes, I will always be happy that you did that, because it's very easy to be in your box with your fans and your bubble and your people that fuck her. You don't need to call, fuck it, you know what I mean? And me too. So for you to do that, I really appreciate that. And that's really why I was emotional at your event, because usually I don't get that. Usually people just write me off and like, well, I don't give a fuck about her, whatever. And I love that you even just reached out.
And thank you for being receptive.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna stop it right there, guys. And this is how I feel about it. I really hope she does not work with him again. And I hope, like she was sharing in the end there, that she was just open to it because she knows that it's not common and often that people will reach out to someone, especially with the way, their situation was, for any reason, and they'll just like justify it and say, oh no, F that person, even if they know ultimately that person was not wrong in anything that they did to cause them to feel that way. Because listen, I've had people do it to me. I've had people steal from me. I've had people sabotage me. And then they treat me like I'm the one that did something wrong to them just simply because I was trying to figure out why would you do something like that, and what are we going to do to try to resolve this situation and make it right, because they left me in a financial bind. And they will justify it. They won't reach out to me, and they will try to justify stealing from me. Like, can you imagine that? But we live in a world now, and the Bible says it, we're going to be in a time where the love that people had will wax cold for others. They will call right wrong and wrong right. So I feel that she was just open to it and just didn't want to be like, man, F that ninja, because he did reach out to her. But I feel like when she said, no matter where this ends up, whether we end up working together again or not, I feel like she's of the or not, thought process, but didn't want to just completely shut it down and allow for there to be some sort of conversation in the public. It's like, you dog me in the public. Let's see what you're going to do in the public to redeem my image, or if you're going to even try to do so, or let me see what you're going to do. And I feel that he let it be known in the very beginning when Erica was questioning him and sharing some of the comments. Well, no, I just feel we just need to let things, be buried where they are and just move forward. And Claudia's like, hold up now, because listen. And so I feel like she was able to see that nothing's really changed, but I'm gonna go ahead and use them for my podcast, get these views. Because let's be clear, there's nothing wrong with getting those views. And if this person's gonna come on my platform and let me get those views off of him, then yeah, let's just go ahead and get it and see what happens. But I don't think that means that she's open to working with him again. And even if she were going to at some point, I don't believe it would be anytime soon. I don't, because I don't believe that there has been enough redemption. I don't believe there has been any apology. And I don't believe that there has been enough time that has gone by. And she's also busy doing other things. So even if it would mean another bag for her, why would she open herself up to that again? And like she was saying in this interview, she was like, well, no, I do feel that a conversation needs to be had, and we can't just progress and move forward and just let things be what they are, because then when stuff starts to come up again, as it will, then those old feelings pop up, and it's like, yeah, see, I knew he ain't never changed, or I knew this, or I knew that. So I don't believe she's open to allowing that to happen again at this point in time, at least. But yeah, guys, I still feel that he did not apologize. He didn't do it in that viral moment video, and he did not do it on his podcast. It's just, let's just let it be water under the bridge. Let's let bygones be bygones. Let's just, proceed and move forward, and just let it be, what it's going to be moving forward. Equal pay. I don't want no niggas involved. I don't want this. I don't want that. I want equal pay. I want this. I want that. It's like you already starting out talking about what you want and what you're not going to accept. And you want it this way. You want it that way. And like my other video that I did, and someone, left a comment, something along the lines of, the pay situation. I said, something, you're right. First of all, why is it even any of his business how much anyone else is getting paid? Because he's the one that started talking about the money. And that was to throw it in people's faces when some people were like, oh, well, whatever, they were saying that was a sting to his ego, then he would start talking, well, listen, I made this much money. Nobody needed to know that. No one that I know of asked. And yes, some people may have implied, but he didn't have to go there. It's an ego thing. It's an ego thing. Because I still don't know how much Al or Claudia were getting paid. I only know about what he claims he was getting paid, and also when Armand Wiggins did his video in response to Al Reynolds and the people who were blaming him for the demise of the show, and he put out how he was making only maybe 1/5 of what Armand claimed. I believe he was making about 1/5 of what Funky Dineva was making. So, with all of that being said, I'm just like, why is it any of his business what anyone is getting paid? If you're working together and you're happy getting what you're getting, why do you need to know how much someone else is getting paid? So he started off on foot with all guys, all of it. There was no apology. It was, I ain't really got no problem with that lady. Yeah, I've had my issues. She probably has hers. But I was just tired of all the BS behind the scenes. So look, we had magic in the bottle. We had lightning in the bottle, whatever the BS was that he said. And you was a good MF in time. I ain't really got no problems with that lady. Let's do it again and again and again and again and again. Let's work together. I want to work with you again. Let's make money. It's about what's going to be beneficial for him. And when it's like that, you just need to let those people be where they are and let them figure out their stuff on their own. Don't get back involved with that ever. And again, he didn't apologize to her, but if he owes anyone, and I'm not saying he doesn't owe Claudia an apology, but do your first work and move forward. He just recently, a couple of months ago, came out blasting Michelle ATLian Brown, talking about how she smells and she ain't got no friends and she ain't got no deals and she ain't know nobody and she ain't getting no opportunities and she ain't smarter than him and she ain't this and she ain't that, and talking about how he's going to slap the ass out of Tasha K. Apologize to those ladies. Do your first work, humble yourself, and move forward. But unfortunately, with people like that, that's just who they are. I feel like he does operate in some narcissistic tendencies, and people like that, they don't ever really see the wrong. And also somebody else reminded me of this too, and it's like, oh my God, how could I forget that? The way he blasted Kiki Jabbar, who was the cousin of Letitia Scott. Yeah, I was about to say Hunt. Letitia Scott on Love and Marriage Huntsville after that woman passed away, and spoke so negatively about that woman. Funky Dineva does not have respect for women, but he uses them because that is the majority of his base and audience. And so it's like, those are the people that he needs to make the money. Just like Tyler Perry, closeted gay man. Most people believe he's gay, but with a lot of these church women, it's like, we think he's gay, but unless he comes out of the closet, we're just going to believe he's straight. And we believe he loves the Lord. So they are his main base that helped him to become a billionaire. They are his main supporters. So he doesn't want to come out because that's going to drastically chip away of the support he has, which is the majority of his base. So for Funky Dineva, the majority of his followers are women that don't have an issue with him speaking the way that he speaks about women, like Michelle ATLian Brown and Tasha K. I'll be honest, many years ago, I was a subscriber, and I don't like to say a follower because I don't follow anyone. I either support, I subscribe, whatever, maybe a member, but a follower, I don't follow anybody but Christ, okay? God, Jesus Christ, that's it. I ain't following nobody. But I will say that subscribing and watching some of his content, it was just background noise to make me laugh. All right. I didn't agree with everything that he said. and never will. You never agree with every single thing anyone says. So that goes without saying. But I can separate myself. I'm not going to be so devoted to this person where I'm just going to overlook everything for the sake of me being this person's quote unquote follower. And I feel that a vast majority of the women that follow him, they blindly follow him because it's like, oh, I'm in the funky bunch. 10 toes down, 10 fingers down. Ain't nothing nobody could say or do that could cause me to sway or think differently about them, or to no longer subscribe, to no longer support, watch, whatever. And when I first heard about the Michelle Alien Brown and Funky Dineva situation, I only heard it at first from his perspective. And he came across like a victim that just lost his mom. And this woman was not understanding of his plight and all this other stuff. And they were supposed to be friends. But yet the way he responded, I didn't look at it at that time from the perspective of, oh, well, Michelle was actually his friend. And she actually was hurt because she felt like, he is my friend that I rented this home to, and he did me like this, and I was his friend. It wasn't just a business situation. He wasn't just a renter. He was also supposed to be my friend. So it wasn't just the fact that he trashed her place and caused her to lose money and had to put money into her place because of the damages that he caused. She also was damaged because of how it hurt her heart and the relationship that she thought she had with this person that she called a friend, and not just hooked him up with a place to live, but also helped him to make money. So the way that he could treat her, if he could treat that woman the way that he treats her, when all she did was share her experience with her supporters of how he did her place, it wasn't to come out here and say all these terrible things about him. She was talking about the way there was dog crap all over the floors and urine, and how he took the washer and dryer. And his response was to talk about how she smelled and who she slept with and who she hated, and how she was talking about this person and that person. And yeah, it got a lot of views and all that other stuff. But looking back on that stuff years later, he was wrong. And he definitely owes that woman an apology. Whether she accepts it or even wants it, that, is, I have no idea. I don't know. I ain't in her head or in her heart. But he is the main one to say, you can't do wrong to an MF and then tell them how to feel. He can't do that woman wrong and tell her how to feel, period. So I don't care if it was 30 years ago. If she still is harboring an issue with him about those situations and people feel like, oh, girl, get over it, just move on. He is the main one to say, you can't do wrong to somebody and then tell them how to feel. So there was no apology to Claudia Jordan. It was, let's work together again. So if he won't even apologize to Michelle Brown so that he could just have some sense of peace moving forward, and hey, if he apologized to her and she said, man, F you and your apology, and she still continues to talk about him if she chooses to because she wants to use him as content for her platform, then yeah, have at it, I guess. But yet and still, it just looks like you're being an opportunist by so-called extending the olive branch to Claudia Jordan. It wasn't about, I just want to move forward in my life with peace, and I hope you can do the same. And I'm sorry for, putting you on Front Street to the people on social media. And I'm sorry. No, it's, let's make magic and money again. It's not genuine, guys. So listen, I want to know what you all think. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.